Good afternoon, students. In this session, we are going to learn how to calculate a loan calculation application in Django, right? So, for calculation of educational loan and as well as home loan, I am going to use JavaScript along with Django. So, what are the requirements? That is, what are the contents? That is, we are going to modify models.py file, admin.py, views.py, urls.py, static templates, and finally settings.py along with images, CSS, and HTML page. So I quickly open my Visual Studio Code. So in my Visual Studio Code, first I am going to open models.py file. So in models.py file, I am going to create a model with a name called bank details, which consists of the fields customer number, customer name, customer salary, customer address, customer phone, and customer type of the loan. That is, I am going to mention whether it is home loan or educational loan. So after writing the models, I am going to write the string constructor in order to retrieve the data from the database. So after writing the models.py file, I am going to register my model in admin.py file. So for registering in admin.py file, I am going to import my bank details model. Along with I am going to create another model with a name called employee data, which consists of list underscore display set of values. That is the values that I have been taken as in the database. That is customer number, name, salary, address, phone number, and type of the loan. Finally, I am going to register this employee data along with my bank details. Now, what contains in views.py file? So, in views.py file, I am going to write three types of views. That is, one for home loan, second for educational loan, and finally for the bank details. So, in a home loan, I am going to write a dictionary which consists of certain messages. The first message is I am going to display an information about the housing loan. The sub-message one is the loan is approved if the customer salary is more than 35k per month is my message. And finally, I am going to display certain image if required. And finally, I am going to render all these values to homeloan.html file that I am going to be displayed as later. And finally, the second one is educational loan approval also. It also consists of a dictionary that consists of an header message like information about the educational loan, and sub-message is the loan is approved if the student is going for the higher studies to states. And finally, I am going to display certain image using the photos option. So this is a static templates in Django. And finally, I am going to return this to educationloan.html. That is, I am going to render it to educationloan.html. And finally, the third one, the last one is bank data method, which consists of the customer list. That is, I am going to retrieve the values from the database. This customer list is passed through the dictionary, and this dictionary is passed to bank.html file using the render method. Now, what is urls.py file? As I said earlier, it consists of two types of links, that is home loan and education loan. For this, I am going to use the regular expressions, which is an example of dry URLs in Django. So I am going to create two types of URLs, that is home loan and as well as educational loan. And finally, my view's name is bank data, which is the last method that I am going to display here. And what consists of bank.html? In bank.html, I am going to load a static, that is a template tag, and I am going to link using a CSS file, that is static CSS, that is demo.css. That is, I am going to create a folder with a name called static in my application, and in that I am going to create a CSS folder which consists of demo.css. And finally, I am going to provide certain messages like welcome to S Bank and customer satisfaction is more important. And finally, I am going to refer the home loan and education loan pages. And finally, I am going to import certain image, that is static images bank.jpg with the help of static templates in Django. If the values are present in the database, I am going to retrieve the data. So for this, I am going to take an if loop, which consists of the customer list that I am going to retrieve from the views.py file. So I am going to use the for loop. If the values are present in customer list, I am going to retrieve certain values from the database. If the values are not present, I am going to display a message called no records found. So this is bank.html. Now in settings.py file, my database name is bank, and the remaining configuration settings are same for MySQL. In homeloan.html, I am going to calculate the home loan. For this, I am going to use certain stylings. So for these stylings, I am going to write the first styling as loan underscore calculator with width, height, background color, position, left, top, and as well as transformation, padding, and radius and color. And I am going to mention certain stylings to paragraph tag also, and I am going to mention certain stylings to h1 tag, and I am going to mention certain stylings to input value that I have been provided by the user, like height, width, background color, font size, color, and padding. And finally, I am going to calculate the output. For this also, I am going to mention certain stylings. After closing of the style tag, I am going to retrieve the messages like header messages and sub messages from views.py file. And I am going to write the div class, which consists of a class name called loan underscore calculator, and I am going to accept the input from the user. So for this, I am going to write the loan amount. I am going to accept the number, So amount and as well as placeholder values, enter the amount. And the second one is rate of interest. I am going to accept the values from the user. Similarly, I am going to accept the months also. So input type is number. So the placeholder value is enter time. And finally, the last one is I am going to use the submit button, which I am going to rename it as calculate. For this, which I am going to write a function in a JavaScript. And total EMI value is going to be displayed in the total EMI label. And what consists of calculate function? The values which have been accepted from the user are retrieved with the help of document.getElementById method in JavaScript. So I am going to retrieve the values of the user that have been provided. So amount, rate, time values are going to be get here. And finally, I am going to calculate the interest and as well as EMI also. So let is a blocked scope in the JavaScript which is used to declare the variables. And I am going to calculate the interest. And finally, I am going to display the interest in total EMI. For this, I am going to use a regular expression which consists of, that is here the regular expression can be used as follows. So the regular expression code translates to every third digit from the end of last three digits in a numerical string and the last three digits of the numerical string. So this will display the total EMI value that I am going to be calculated. And finally, I am going to retrieve the output, that is document by getElementById of output. And finally, I am going to closing the script. So this is homeloan.html. Similarly, the same code will be applied for educationloan.html also. That is, I am going to write the loan calculator with certain stylings and as well as paragraph tag also along with certain stylings, and h1 and input tag also along with certain stylings, and calculate output also with certain stylings. And finally, after closing of the styling tag, I am going to retrieve the messages of header message and sub message one that I am going to be retrieved from views.py file, and I am going to accept the input from the user, that is loan amount, rate of interest, months, and as well as total EMI value I am going to be displayed with the help of the calculate function. So in the calculate function, as I said earlier, in homeloan.html file, I am going to get the values of amount, rate, time by using document.getElementById, and I am going to calculate the interest and EMI which is going to be deferred from homeloan.html. And finally, using the regular expression, I am going to retrieve the output. And finally, I am going to closing the script. So this is the views.py file. Now I quickly open my command prompt. So in my command prompt, I am going to navigate to my folder. So let me navigate to my folder. So let me say my project name, and I am going to use python space manage.py space migrate. Let me say. So here the migrations are going to be applied. So after the migrations are going to be applied, I am going to write python space manage.py space make migrations. So means I am going to create an SQL code. So make migrations, sorry. So here I am going to write an SQL code. Yes, no changes are detected. Now python space manage.py space run server. I am going to run the server. Now here you can clearly see that welcome to S-Bank, customer satisfaction is most important. Here I am going to create two types of links, that is using dry URLs. One for home loan and second for educational loan. Here no records are found. We are going to insert the records. First I am going to click the home loan. So for this home loan, I am going to enter certain value as loan amount as 10,000, rate of interest is 5 and amount months is 5, and I am going to calculate the total EMI which is displayed as 2100. Similarly, I am going to calculate for educational loan also. I am going to enter the value as 10,000 and I am going to calculate the rate of interest as 5 and months as 5, and I am going to calculate. So the value is 10,000. So there is a certain differences between the home loan and educational loan. So using this, I am going to enter the data in my backend. So for this, I am going to open my backend. So in the bank database, in my table, I am going to add certain data. So let me say my data is like this. So I am going to insert the data. So let me add my data. So let me say customer number is 1 and customer name is Ram and customer salary is, let me say, 84,000 and address is Vijayawada and phone number is something, and I am going to make it as home loan. I am going to click it as go. Now the values are going to be inserted. The same case I am going to insert another data for education loan also. So let me insert another data also. Let me take the customer value as 3 and I am going to name certain name, and with a salary of 25,000, address, let me add certain address, and I am going to add certain phone number, and let me make it as education loan, and I am going to click it as go. Now I come to my page and I am going to refresh here, for which the values are going to be displayed. Here you can clearly see that the values are displayed as home loan and education loan. So in this way, we can develop a loan application in Django. Thank you.